to your children, and also to discover feelings and the creativity that we are born with.
We are gifted differently. Whatever the baby is doing is in unconscious.
The other child who is younger than the other one, if you can give her the age limit.
The more you seek for love or you seek attention from other people, the more you get disappointed.
We should express our feelings accordingly.
Good afternoon and welcome for our time of discussion. My name is Laura Maina, a first-year candidate in the Sisters of the Holy Cross. And in our discussion, we are going to take you through the book, Our Sexual Self. It's all about pathway to authentic intimacy. And when we hear about the introduction, the author is going to examine more of the seasons of our lives, from the prenatal, the adulthood, our childhood, and in different stages. And we are going to try to connect our sexual life with the life we are living. We are living as per now as the Sisters of the Holy Cross and in religious life. And the book more begins with the topic, the hunger, the naming our pain, and that hunger for love. So I'd like to invite our first presenter to talk about what she has for us, and we'll try to connect and have different questions about what she's going to discuss. How can you be able to tell that this person is affected sexually, or how does it affect us, contribute to being affected sexually?
Okay, listening to all those psychosexual stories, that is very important for us to have time to listen to them. And in my opinion, I advise the parent at least to have time to talk to your children and to interact with them about their sexuality. It will help them to know and to accept their sexuality and their genders, and to know their sexual orientation.
Laura, my name is Grace Komhimbo from Sisters of the Holy Cross. I'm a candidate. I will take through chapter 3, which is the pathway of love. In the way that we have scripture, this scripture is John 10:10, and it reminds us that we are created for an expansive purpose to enter into human experience and also to discover feelings and the creativity that we are born with. So far, the thing is that it also helps us to be aware that we are created by God, and also that we should live or become a person, a whole person, but not living as robots. The way how my friend Janet has discussed about psychosexual development, psychosexual story, the writer is also talking about psychosexual development. That is also one way to our journey of life, to live a life to a full. In the way that he said that this psychosexual development is the process of growth that embraces all aspects of human reality. And to live all this, or to develop this psychosexual development, it includes 6 dimensions, and that is physical, cognitive, emotional, socially, morally, and spiritual. In the way that all these dimensions helps us to grow as how we are, as how God created us. And to give a hint of all these 6 dimensions, I will begin with a physical dimension, of which it involves genetic, biological, and hormonal factors that influence our sexual response, and from the first moment of conception and throughout the seasons of our lives. Another thing we talk about is that cognitive dimension, in the way that it involves accurate and adequate sexual knowledge, which improves our positive perceptions of our bodies. Then another thing I will talk about is emotional dimension, in the way that it also reminds us to be aware of and comfortable with our sexual feelings and having healthy feelings towards others, and the way how we shall go out there, we should express our feelings accordingly. Another dimension I will talk about is social dimension, of which involves us that we should relate, we should know how to relate to others in a good way by being aware of our psychosexual development, and also be aware of ourselves so that to improve on. Then another dimension I will talk about is moral dimension, in the way that this one involves the attitudes and the actions that are necessary for ongoing human sexual integration, and how we express our feelings towards others. Then I will talk about spiritual dimension. This one involves affirming feelings, and involves the presence of God in our lives, so that we can recognize that we are sexually, and we recognize that we are created by God, in the way that sexuality and spirituality, they are not enemies, but they are friends. They go hand in hand. They can't live each at a time. Another thing that I will talk about is that I will talk about 4 qualities that underlies a healthy human and sexual development. One of them is sexual awareness. This one, it involves the experiences that we encounter outside there, and how we explore our bodies according to our identity and the gender that we are involved in. Then another thing I will talk about freedom. This development of freedom helps us to know our responsibility, because of the implications that the decisions that we made before knowing our sexuality. So these decisions helps us to be aware and to have that freedom of doing something which will help us in future, and also to help others outside there. Another thing that I will talk about is wholeness and holiness. This one involves chastity, the way how you can live holy on this earth, and that's how to improve on our integration of gifts by sharing them. On this chastity, it's not that because of these married couples or a single person or vowed person, but it also varies the qualities that I have talked about in just few minutes. So journey towards relational wholeness. This one calls us to be disciplined in the way that our life, to live a life in a full, instead of being not aware of who you are, and which will help us also to develop our psychosexual development wherever we are.
Okay, thank you, Grace, for your sharing. And you've talked more about the dimensions, about the healthy psychosexual and the different dimensions. And if as I was listening, these dimensions can sometimes they can fail. No, we can fail to integrate them or to leave them. Now, like if you can just mention maybe few dimensions that can lead to this unhealthy and unhealthy behavior, maybe in a child or a person who has grown up, and he or she has failed to live these dimensions. No, we have those the behaviors or the attitudes towards this dimension that maybe they have not been lived positively. If you can just mention a few of them.
Thank you, Laura, for that question. Yeah, of course, when these dimensions are absent, one of them is that what happens is that discomfort with ourselves, socially, physically, and emotionally. And again, you don't concentrate on other things, you don't cooperate with others because of those dimensions which are absent. Another thing is that there is inability to develop and sustain relation that give life. So you cannot share who you are, where you are, and the things which you have passed through. So when those ones are absent, actually that's what happened.
My name is Nakato Anita, a first-year candidate of the Sisters of the Holy Cross. I am going to present to you the 4th chapter, which talks about knit together in my mother's womb. The author gave us a text from Psalms 139, which says, God created my innermost self, knit me together in my mother's womb. For so many marvels I thank you. I wonder what I am, and all your works are wonders. And in this text, I will take God shapes my innermost self, knits us together in our mother's womb, and fashion us together into a wonder. And this text, it is telling us how God shaped us when we were in our mother's womb and fashioned us into a wonder. God shaped our innermost self, which is our personality and uniqueness, and fashioned us into a wonder. It is talking about how God fashioned us into our mother's womb, and this calls us to appreciate our fashion, our bodies, the way we were created in our mother's womb. And it also talks about our personalities, our uniquenesses. We are gifted differently. So this calls us to go and reflect back on our childhood, and also to ask our mothers what circumstances did they face when we were still in our mother's womb. Maybe those circumstances, they are the ones that we are facing right now. What I'm passing through when I've grown up, I may not know. And this, our innermost self, it is giftedness that we have. I might be an extrovert, and people may, whereby I may be in a group of introverts when I'm an extrovert, but we may not understand each other. I may not know where that extrovert is from. So it is calling us to go back and reflect on our childhood, and also maybe to ask our mothers to interact with our family members to know where this extrovert is coming from. And also this fashioning us into a wonder. God fashioned us into a wonder, and our bodies, God created us. And also this, it goes out there to all those girls. I've seen it in our world today. Many girls, they don't appreciate what God created. They don't appreciate their shape of the bodies. They go for those medicines, at least to add something, because they are not appreciating what God created. And this, it causes many diseases like cancer and all other diseases, because many people have died because of these things, artificial things of the world. And this calls us to appreciate what God created. And also sexuality and our innermost self are important parts of who we are. And they describe our personality, and also it is the part that involves our uniqueness and giftedness. And also I will go on and talk about body awareness. This is all about the skin. The author said the skin, it is the largest sexual organ of the human body, and as humans we need that skin touch to survive. And also it helps us to know that we are alive, and it tells us that we are not alone. So as humans, we are, like the author said, that we humans were the first one to do that skin touch, because since we're in our mother's womb, we are the first people to do that skin touch. And he went on and said, infants who grew without that skin touch, they are socially disabled. And this, it shows that skin touch, it is really important in our lives. And for example, these abandoned babies, they may not experience this skin touch, and this will affect their social relationships when they grow up. And also, he went on and said, God did not intend to create sexual passion in our innermost self. God was so creative, and he sensed that human beings would be fearful and suspicious of such powerful energy. Yeah, this sometimes we human beings, we live in denial. Even if you live with opposite sex, and then you start feeling that passion, that sexual energy in your body, I may praise it, those energies, and I will live in denial when inside I am dying. So God did not intend to create these energies in our innermost self, because he knew we will deny these powerful energies. And God calls us to embrace, if we experience those energies, he calls us to embrace them and to carry them responsibly. This, not accept the way we are created. So these cycles of sexual responding are reminders to us that we are sexual, and this is where we get to know who we are, and we explore our bodies and discover.
You've talked more about the skin touch, in our lives, those especially to the young ones who need to experience that. And in our lives, we've experienced different people with different personalities. Give an example of being in information houses. You find different people acting out different personalities. Does it mean that these people missed out something, or no? When it comes to that skin touch or that that love, does it mean that these people miss something in their life, like love, because you find them, most of them, seeking love from other people?
Thank you so much, Laura. These people who seek for love, as the author said, that these infants who grew up without that skin touch, they are socially disabled. And when they grow up, there are these people who start to seek for love from other people because they did not get that chance when they were still young. And they would seek attention. So this, I give my advice to some of those people who are out there, like even here in our formation house. I give advice to those people that if you find yourself that you are seeking for love or attention to someone, that you go and reflect, or you first acknowledge yourself and accept the way you are, and then you trust in God. So God will help you to come out of that seeking for love, because the more you seek for love or you seek attention from other people, the more you get disappointed. But if you first accept yourself and acknowledge the way you are, that it will help you. Thank you so much.
My name is Justin Naukalu, a first-year candidate from the Sisters of the Holy Cross. I'm going to present you this last chapter, which is the continuation of the previous one, which is gotten from Luke chapter 18, verses 15 to 16. It says, "Let the children come to me." So the people were bringing their children to Jesus to be touched. It talks more about the skin touch. This skin touch goes deep under our skin. When it reaches there, it shows that we are not alone. It makes us free. It tells us we are loved. It keeps us alive. And in the first place, this touch is sensitive, and it provides us with the initial sexual encounters. So even on our arrival at birth, we are announced by our sexual identity. It is a girl or it is a boy. When it reaches to the Vatican document lays the sexuality part as the first one to be tackled, which wasn't there before. So the writer is showing us that the psychosexual development has stages, and the first one is the sexual unawareness, which is birth to the toddler. During this first phase, the baby is unable to differentiate the what is happening, to sense whatever is happening. Whatever the baby is doing, it is in unconscious, but it is stored in the mind of that baby. When that child grows up, these things come back, but in that stage, it is in the conscious stage. The second phase, it talks about the sexual awakeness, which is toddler to early preschool, where the sexuality comes to the conscious. In this stage, the child will be conscious for whatever he or she is doing. There is another one of acquisition of language, where the child will explore the information, and in this stage, the parent should be careful whatever the question the child asks, because when the parent doesn't answer that question, that child can be shut, or she will explore more when she grows up. So the parents should be able to answer the questions of those children when they are asked. Then we have toilet training. This is the sensitive part in this stage. Whenever a child makes a mistake during this stage, should be encouraged not to be punished. If the child is punished, when he or she grows up, the self-esteem will be low. So when that child was just encouraged, we have the self-esteem. We also have the third phase, which is the social sexual play. These sexual plays among children should be left to play freely, to play willingly, to explore themselves. If that sexual play inflicts pain on the child, it should also be stopped. And if it is done in public, and shame, if the shame is involved, or fear, the sexual play should be stopped. So I advise all, especially the parent, during these stages when the child is growing, should be left free to touch their bodies, especially the genital parts, to feel free with their body, to feel at home with their body as the safer place to live in.
You've talked about the sexual play in these children. If you can just give us the age limit that these children are supposed, because you'll find there are different children playing together, the touching of their bodies, the genital parts. So if maybe the age limit where these children are supposed to play, like from this age and this age, they're supposed to play together, so that it might not maybe affect the other child who is younger than the other one. If you can give us the age limit.
The age difference should be 2 years, which is the limit, because those children, they are in the same sexual cycle.
Okay, to conclude on what we've just heard and what we've shared with our sisters, the book is all, as we had said earlier, the book is all about the sexual self, and it's all about seeking the pathway to intimacy, and it's all about the hunger for that intimacy. It's all about the process of healing, where after naming our pains in life, as we mentioned about love, it will lead to that healing, which leads to growth later in the future. So as long as we open ourselves, as the author said, we open ourselves to talk about our pain, we name the pain as we are going through, then it will lead to that healing process, and it will lead to growth in our life. Being in this life of religious life, being information house, the more you open up, the more you open that healing in what you are going through, and you'll be able to be helped with the others who are journeying with you in this journey of life. So we are advised to open up, to talk about our sexual self, to integrate with others, and to move out, to make that friendship, and to make the friendship with ourselves and with our bodies, so that we can lead to that process of healing and growth.